Happy Friday! You have completed week 2. This is the recording for Friday, August 30th. Today is the day. Once you finish your notes for today's recording, you need to make sure you turn it in to the Dropbox. So it says Class Connect Notes Unit 1 Week 2. There's a little upload button down here at the bottom. So you should be turning in one document. So it's one Word document. And that started last Friday the 23rd, and it should have all of the recordings up until today, and that is what you are turning in. Remember, the latest you can turn it in is Sunday. If you don't turn it in by this Sunday, then you get a 0 for those points, and nobody likes a 0. So if you need to do any catch up, now's the time. Catch up on all your recordings and get these notes turned in, please. Here are today's review questions. So in a moment, let's go ahead and pause this recording and answer these 3 questions in your notes, please. Our goal today is to explain why these colonial regions are going to develop differently. We're going to practice historical comprehension because we're going to be using lots of different types of documents today. And for the next 3 days, we're going to have one guiding question that we think about. So as we're doing work over the next few days, so that's including next week. I know it's Friday, so I'm talking today and then Monday, or not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I want you to think about this question right here. What factors make up a community? So if our goal is to figure out why these colonial regions develop differently, let's think of the characteristics and the factors that make a community a community. As always, you will hear me say learning is getting it wrong and then getting it right. Please remember, I don't expect you to be perfect. I just ask that you try and participate. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and give our code word early today. So the code word that you need to write in your notes is geography. Geography. Geography is going to be today's code word. So go ahead, take a moment, get that in your notes. Geography is the code word. So when we talk about this idea of regions, we divide the colonies into 3 regions. And hopefully you remember this from back in 8th grade, the last time you all had American history. But when we talk about these regions, the most northern region is going to be these New England colonies, okay, followed by our middle colonies and our southern colonies. So if this is not something that you're familiar with, now's a good time to pause the recording and just jot down quickly what colonies are in which region for your notes. Here is today's activity. Of course, you're not going into breakout rooms, so you're just going to complete this diagram in your notes. You can either draw circles in your notes, or you can copy and paste a Venn diagram like this into your notes and then fill it in, whatever is going to work best for you. But what I'm looking for, the purpose of the Venn diagram, is for you to list in the outside circles things that are different about each region. So characteristics that are just New England should go here, that are just the middle colonies should go here, that are just the southern colonies should go here. And then you want to look for some things that maybe are the same. So if there's anything the same between New England and the middle colonies, you would list it here. Same thing. If there's anything the same between the middle and the southern colonies, you would list it here. Anything that's the same between New England and southern colonies, you would list it here. And then finally in the middle, if there's anything that they all have in common, you should list that here. All right, so this is what you're going to work on, and I'm going to provide you the resources in a moment so that you know where to go to look up this information. If you want to take a screenshot and use this diagram, here's a bigger version that you can use. Okay, these are the resources I want you to use today. If you just go to Google and start searching, who knows what you're going to find and who knows how long you'll be searching. So I am giving you what you should use to look up this information, okay? So first thing you should do is read each of these little brief paragraphs. This is from your reader. So you can always go back to the reader as well, but read these first. And then in a moment, I'll pause the recording and I'm going to give you these 3 links. This link will tell you specifically about New England. This link will tell you specifically about the middle colonies, and this link will tell you specifically about the southern colonies. I've already reviewed this information. I know it's correct. These are sources you can trust. So go ahead, pause the recording, use these 3 links that are going to come up, and that's where you're going to find the information to put in today's diagram. Now that you've looked at the similarities and the differences between the colonies, you probably noticed that one thing that was in the middle of your diagram was religion. Religion plays a part in all of the colonies. So we're going to fast forward a little bit to the 1700s and look specifically at the Great Awakening, because this is going to influence how the colonies develop. So it happens in the 1730s and 1740s. Basically, it's a religious revival, meaning there's more enthusiasm around religion, and there's going to be lots of changes to some of the traditions of religion in the colonies, or just even changes to how people practiced their religious traditions. So some of the famous preachers that you will read about, you probably already have read about, are George Whitefield and Jonathan Edwards. And so we're going to go ahead and look at the Great Awakening in just a little more detail before we wrap up today. All right, in a moment, I'm going to show you another chart, and I want you to put this next chart in your activity section of your notes as well. But I just want you to look up some basic information on the Great Awakening. Now, as always, I'm going to give you the resources to make your life easy. So if you want to use our textbook, it's page 98. And then in a moment, I'll pause the recording, and these 3 links I will put up on the screen. Again, remember, I've already looked at these links. I know they're correct. I know the information is good. So save yourself some time. Don't bother Googling. Just use the links that I've given you. Okay, here is the information that you are going to look up. You're going to look up who, so any of the important people associated with the Great Awakening. What, so just kind of give me, a sentence or two giving me a definition of what the Great Awakening is. When, I already gave you those dates, so this one should be quick and easy for you to do. Where, why is the event significant for colonial society? So here's this significance question. Why is it a big deal? Why are we still talking about it? And then finally, 2 reasons the event impacted colonial society. So when I say impact, I mean, how did it change it? Why were the colonies different after the first Great Awakening? So go ahead and give me at least 2 sentences on the impact of the Great Awakening on colonial society. And I should say, make sure you're looking up the first Great Awakening. There's actually 2 Great Awakenings in American history. You are looking at the one that happens in the 1700s, which is the first Great Awakening. As we wrap up today, I want you just to think about, so far, what have we learned about how these colonies have developed? So when we look at the different individual colonies, when we look at the regions, what characteristics, what factors, what have we learned about why and how these colonies are developing? Go ahead and just jot down some thoughts in your notes. You're going to want to keep these notes because in a few days we're going to write a constructed response, and this is going to help you write a constructed response. So based on today's lesson, what have you learned so far? And finally, here is our exit ticket. So make sure you go to the online high school, type in the code word to the code word question, and then go ahead and answer this exit ticket. Thanks so much. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will pick up again next week. Don't forget to turn in your notes. Thanks all.